illiteracy is not the inability to read or write. Illiteracy is the inability to learn something, unlearn it, learn something new, and deploy it. And only those who are able to see AI as an opportunity and see how to leverage on it will succeed. Because I promise you, there will be a very big drift between those who take advantage of it and those who don't. Users can become super users. They can make money off using. They are the people who learn how to use the tool. Consumers. You just consume. You just drink. You just watch. You just do. You just product, do. You are the product. And you will always be the product. Here's the problem. More than 60% of our work is a process that can be learned through memory. An accountant, actuarial scientist, a dentist, a therapist, a pilot, a driver. All of those are repeated patterns. You never drive in a unique way on a Tuesday morning than you did on a Monday. So that means the machine can do it. Yeah. Probably better than you.
We've prided ourselves in the amount of effort and not necessarily the output.
And the tech,
right? You can find somebody seated with the same employment for 35 years.
My favorite topics that I've learned for you is everything AI. And, the future of jobs, the future of just the future generally is AI. And like one of the videos that caught my eyes when you were talking about like, what your kids got in KCSE doesn't like really matter. And like you're getting like a lot of backlash for it. But like it's the truth. So like I want you to talk to the generation that is coming up now, because there's a lot of talk about like upskilling and, in the next 5 years, the jobs won't look the same. And there's someone who's in school right now already doing a degree and they're already being told you won't have a job by the time you get out. So like talk to those kind of people and maybe like talk about upskilling or how they can make things better for themselves and etc. Because I think it's important.
It's so crazy you mentioned the thing about guys being in college and being told there's already no job for your degree. I saw a quote at T. Graduates who are graduating jobless, right? And not just jobless, illiterate. Graduating jobless and illiterate. It's so important because when I was in uni, when we were chomokaing, they were already complaining that people were half-baked. Right?
Now,
so the conversation was half-baked. Right?
Now it's not baked.
So now it was half-baked. So now everybody you finish, the time it was just go do your undergrad and it'll be good. So me, I'm there, I'm like, woohoo. Then as we're in uni, they're saying, no. Undergrad is not enough for
masters.
So me, I was just like not boarding. I'm not boarding businesses. Watch again nianze kuhustle. My friends did. I have friends who have two masters.
Unemployed.
You know what they're doing? They are mastering the craft of agriculture. Farming. Because you start to realize I wasted a lot of money. Because, and why I call it wasted, they were not people who are somaing because they love to read.
Honestly.
They were reading because they were like, what does it get me to get into that door? Let me do that as a master's. And now you're still, you have an undergrad, you have a bunch of masters, you think you should have PhD it. No, let me just go and do.
You have 2 degrees.
That was us. Now you're seated here, forget those masters, forget the PhDs, forget everything. It's like everything you learned, you're going to now start learning a new thing. Let me give you the perfect example. When I was finishing high school, there are people who did typing.
Hey! Yes.
So it was, you could either do commerce, economics, typing.
That's crazy.
And I'm a millennial.
That's crazy.
Right? I think and it was in KCPE. It was in KCPE. No, not KCPE.
KCPE?
KCPE or KCSE?
It was primary. I was in primary.
Oh, primary.
Typing. Right? So class 8 KCPE, they did typing. You understand?
Man, that's wild.
Now, we get to Form 1, it's computers.
Clean.
Right? Like now they're just like, we have to make sure these kids, they know computers. Then we get out of school, it's about driving lessons. Just like the only driving I want is a vehicle. Okay? That your phone's like a computer. And I'm glad I missed all these hot things.
Nonsense.
I'm glad I missed them because here we are. I'm sitting with someone and like, where's Ulienda computer classes?
How's that going for you?
I said, yeah. Ati hard drive, you go up. I know where hard drive is. What are you talking? Now, to make matters worse, last sem I joined uni. I decided, you know what? I feel like my brain is slowing down. I need a new challenge. I said,
and so to do that, to join university?
Yeah, I joined uni. I decided, you know what? I need a challenge. Me, I'm crazy.
So judgmental,
right?
actually.
I did the first semester.
He
right?
listened
Last
and
sem.
judged.
Last sem.
You're judged.
You know what was the
Mlikuwa mnafunza nini?
nilikuwa nafanya diplomacy.
Diplomacy.
You know, I've not registered for the second sem. Simply because I started to ask myself this: how can I do only the diplomacy without the English? You know, they're still doing computers. You know that one for TCG. This is a computer, CPU. I'm in university.
And what
the f*** is this a course?
What do you mean?
And it is compulsory. Compulsory.
Yeah.
I started one lesson and I said,
this is
the last one. But then, just 1 month. The whole of May, a few things have happened in development of AI, right?
So a few.
1 month, May.
Let's just do a few.
And then you go like, what the fuck are people teaching?
And that's just 1 month,
right? Yani, 1 month has basically just changed everything that those people are teaching there. So now it switched my thinking to, let me find courses of diplomacy online and just do that. So that I don't have to do this other. Because I just want to learn about the world and the things, the nitty-gritty. For my own learning.
Right.
Now, Joyce has asked you about the future of
jobs.
Jobs,
right.
What are we telling people?
There's someone who their parents have sold a piece of land to take them to university and they're already being told AI is going to take your job.
You can't.
They're being told AI is here for your job.
What else I did?
Let's
so remember I said that you need to know yourself, right? Yeah. So let's talk about AI in the view of who you are as a human. What is artificial intelligence? Did you say view? In the view.
Oh, just check.
I know what you're saying. In the view of who you are as a human. What is artificial intelligence? Now, we have lived in an era of biological intelligence. Sisi ni wanadamu, you think, you
human
see a
beings,
cookie, you like it,
you take the cookie.
It's very easy. And in that, we have many senses, but the core are 5. You can see, you can taste, you can smell, you can touch, and you can... What's anybody?
To go to the 5th one.
Here,
you can
smell.
You can smell. You can touch. You can
feel. Feel, touch, and feel.
Touch,
smell. Hear.
Hear.
The last one.
You can
5
see.
senses.
You can see.
Oh, you started with see. Okay.
You can hear.
What are the other senses, guys?
Go ahead.
You can touch.
I can smell.
You can smell.
You can taste.
What is the last one? You can taste.
Jesus. I had to go back.
This one was being taught English in discipline.
This is how you know your senses. Most of your senses are concentrated on your face.
Yeah.
So you can see, you can smell, you can taste, you can touch, which is the only thing that's over here, and then you can hear.
Yeah.
AI has taken over 4 of those. It can see, it can touch,
it can hear
in the digital version, it can hear, and it can taste. Can't smell yet. But they're working on that. And what artificial intelligence is being able to help what you have all had, machines learn. That's called machine learning. And a breakthrough happened a while ago in Canada, quite a few years ago, in the 70s, that allowed machines to independently learn something and create their own conclusions outside of being programmed. For example, unaambia computer, write these words. And how do you do it? You type. I am a very tired individual. You touch the key, it writes for you exactly what you want. It's very, most of the time, that's how computers work.
Yeah.
That's binary. I say, you do. Same way of putting on the lights. You put on a switch, it's on.
It's
it doesn't
on.
negotiate. It goes on. You put it off, it goes off. Very simple. Somewhere in there, machines started learning how to give different responses to different things. You have a calculator. So you put sine, remember cosine, sine, tan, those things. It became with the logbook. It became a little intelligent. It had pre-written code that gave it knowledge to some extent. So that if you say 1 times pi, it knows what pi means.
You don't have to go and type out
3.1494 numbers.
Right.
That's a little piece of
intelligence.
Storing knowledge.
Still,
So let's say at that point it was like 3 years old. A child knows when I see a lollipop and I put it in my mouth, it's yummy. How did he do that? Practice.
Yeah.
Then he got a bit older and he got to appreciate that there are certain things lead to.
Yeah.
So if you put A, it knows A means B, but also B is C plus D. It's like thinking. So if I put A minus D, you know that A, which is equals to B, which is equals to C plus D, means that if you say A minus D, I'm subtracting that number over there, and then I get C. That's a sub-intelligent, that's a 5-year-old child.
Yeah.
And that kept happening until we got to a place where anytime somebody says GPT, T means transformer. It got to a place where machines have created enough human-like patterns that it understands what you're trying to do. It has enough room to read stuff.
Yeah.
It has read millions of emails, millions of articles, millions of books.
Yeah.
It now understands, which is really a pattern. It knows how we work. And we took that and created what is now ChatGPT or Cursor or all of these tools. What they have done is they've understood our pattern of thinking. They're not thinking. They've just understood how we think. Right. So if I say good, it knows it's either morning, afternoon, evening, it knows. Yeah. Because it's seen millions of people do that. If I write an email as a paragraph, please help me tell Joyce or help me tell Sheila that I'm available next Saturday for a thing. Yeah. It knows how emails are written. So it's able to convert that into a thing. Here's the problem. More than 60% of our work is a process that can be learned through memory. An accountant, a actuarial scientist, a dentist, a therapist, a pilot, a driver. All of those are repeated patterns. You never drive in a unique way on a Tuesday morning than you did on a Monday. We do it the same way. Put on the car, turn the steering wheel, brake clutch if you've got a manual, change the stick shift. So that means a machine can do it. Yeah. Probably better than you. And the same thing goes over and over and over and over and over in everything, almost everything we do. Right. That's why people should be panicking. Because a majority of the work you do when you walk into the office in the morning, if you're an insurance agent, is the same as you did yesterday. Yeah. It's the same that you did a year ago. Right. It's the same as you did 5 years ago. It can be done better than a machine than you can. And that applies to more than 60% of the industries. Yeah. So to answer your question, what do you tell your mom after you've gone to uni, ameuza ploti pale, amepatia mwapabili gumbetatu, amefanya kaharabe, then you come back with your degree and you tell her I'm unemployable. What you're telling your mom is, I may not do the thing I studied to do, but I know using the critical thinking skills I got from my education, how to be applicable in different parts. Right. I could do podcasts, I could do music, I could do painting, I could do trainings. I know how to take care of old people, young people. I know how to be human. Right. Because anything processed and automated has been taken over by machines. Yeah. So there is your answer. Illiteracy is not the inability to read or write. Illiteracy is in the inability to learn something, unlearn it, learn something new, and deploy it. And only those who are able to see AI as an opportunity and see how to leverage on it will succeed. Because I promise you, there will be a very big drift between those who take advantage of it and those who don't. True. And I'll always say this is a difference between a user and a consumer. You are users of podcasts. You see them, you watch them, and then you come and you do your own. You deploy it, you build a community. Users can become super users. They can make money off using. They are the people who learn how to use the tool. Consumers, you just consume. You just drink, you just watch, you just do, you just product, do. Yeah. You are the product. And you will always be the product. Have I explained that well?
Yeah. Very well, actually. Very well. Okay.
Which gets me thinking about, it's interesting because you talk about fear. People are afraid. Yeah. Like, I didn't realize just how afraid people were until this year. This year, there's been massive shifts. Last year, we were talk. Last year, it was talk.
Yeah. Now we are seeing it happen. Like
in this. You know, you've got big companies like laying off staff. Yeah. In
Microsoft laid off its AI head. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
With 6,000 other people.
No.
Microsoft can do it.
AI can do your job now.
It can do your job now.
Crazy. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think education is the problem and why education is so key, right? Because, the other day someone was like, oh, how can we be learning things that, even we won't even be, the job won't be there by the time I finish? And I'm just like, that's all of us. When we were doing KCSE, whatever we were studying, we were already late. Because we had now to go and do the driver's license for computer, and I could have done it when I was in the school. Why are you wasting my goddamn time? But then, so that always is the problem, that the technology moves faster than the people. Always. Is it possible, with what you just described, the world that, why people are finding themselves in the place that we are? Let me use an example like radio. Right?
Hey, that's a good example because I have some examples, yo.
So, my theory, or when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, okay, so it's us humans who are comfortable doing things that we could do in our sleep. Right. Calling it work. Right? So, because I think most people are in love with the idea of I have a place
to go,
and that I'm part of a community, and they know that. Well, it's not even really the community. I collect a salary at the end of the month, right?
I have a desk.
Title, So it's sort of like a consequence for the education system that you went through,
right?
And so you look at, okay, but the thing that you're doing, you're clear that this job can be done without you.
You know that.
You're seated there just punching in things, and you're building a career based off of this.
Yes.
And what AI came and did was catch people flat-footed.
Yeah. Completely. Down.
Yeah.
Let's all of those things.
Let's just read you as an example.
Yeah.
The other time, we were having a chat with Walshy Fire, Major Laser.
Right.
He was sitting there and he was talking about his experience of radio, and he was talking about reel-to-reel splicing the reels. You know what that is?
You have to do it manually.
You literally had to take the film and connect it to this film. That's what movies used to be.
And even editing movies, it was you literally cut.
Spool. You know what spool is? Yes. And then what happened? Tech came and the people who would be seated behind there doing all this splicing, now it became about one producer, right? And still at this time, somebody is seated in this career, in this space, seeing these shifts happening, not upskilling.
Refusing to start using cool edits.
Not realizing that if this job can be done without you, it means that the employer's mistake is that they haven't adjusted. Right?
That's it. Yeah.
Their systems, right? Let me give you an example. 2018-19, media across Africa started talking about convergence. Right? You know what convergence is?
Which was that
they've literally realized that kuna mtu wa social media huko wa hiyo radio, kuna wa mwingine wa social media for the TV, and they're like, why is this person? Or when they send a reporter to breaking news accident, there's a reporter for KTN News, there's a reporter for Spice, there's a reporter, and they're all going to the same campus. Send one reporter.
And then tupatie.
What does that mean?
Everyone else loses their job.
You, as you were seated there, very comfortable knowing that. And by the way, I know that there are people who, I mean, we're already aware that on podcast people take things the wrong way. I'm not here to hurt anyone.
Yes, no.
I'm just looking at the future of jobs and the reality of what has currently happened.
Can I give you a very good example of how this is going to happen? Remember the time we used to have, and this is not in Kenya most of the time, but used to have helicopter pilots with a journalist strapped to the plane.
To show people.
To go, this is a traffic situation, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll back now. We have
Drones. Yeah.
Who can use them? This is the best part. Who can use them?
That's
the computer.
true.
Anyone. In fact, even the AI can now.
Do it on its own.
Now you're saying, Ati, I'm going to school to learn how to be a drone guy. You remember the drone shows that are done? Do you know how they're done?
Yeah.
How they managed to put 6,000 drones in the
sky.
air.
No, I've actually wondered.
It's another AI. You understand?
So that puts all those drones in the sky and makes it fly to Dubai.
And you know what's interesting?
Think about it. How many people are going to see like this?
It makes sure the trajectory of each drone is such that it moves, but they don't touch.
Now,
that is genius.
So you now going to a job saying, I'm going to learn how to be a drone guy. I wouldn't say no, but like, unless there's something you can do better,
different.
Without you, this machine cannot do, then you're
if you ever walk into an office and you open a laptop, be clear that laptop will soon not need you.
Honestly.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Any tool you use, from Adobe to Office to anything you use, as long as you open a machine, that can be taken by AI. I want people to be clear.
Even with on podcasting, right? let me give you guys
podcasting. You think you're doing well?
Do you know?
Have you come across Notebook LM?
No. What?
Oh my God!
Please
put this in the podcast.
Please
let
us.
People know that I brought this here.
Wait, what did you say?
Notebook LM.
What's that?
Google, more than 6 months ago, came up with a tool called Notebook LM. It's basically an AI, large language model. You go and you put a document, any document, you're doing diplomacy. You put a document about, the Brexit, for example. Notebook LM analyzes the document and creates a podcast with two speakers.
Yes.
And they discuss your document.
Right?
On a podcast.
But forget that.
Everyone can do it today.
Is this the world we're living in right now?
Yes,
because it feels like
even for script writers, there's so many tools, right?
Yeah.
I'm using some of them. But for the one for podcasters, I was gonna say, you know how like you do a podcast, you shoot your content, and then now you have to get an editor to chop it up.
Oh,
there's already an app.
Yes.
You just give it the clip, and then it comes up with the best clips to run on a video. And posting on social media. A lot of people are, working hard to be social media content creators or community managers. And I'm like, there are already apps that are doing that. So
fully. It's
so
like
then,
a Hootsuite dashboard. You add all your social media.
Social media.
You add them all there, and it's like it plans it for you based on the amount of time the videos are, the best time to post it, so that you don't have replication. It doesn't post on all platforms at the same time. It will create clips for you for YouTube Shorts, for TikTok, for Instagram, for Snap. But then make it so that whoever watches this one sees a different flavor of that one.
Yeah. So here's my question.
$17.50 per month.
Yeah. So here's my question, right? With what you just described and me pointing out that, then it must be, the fear is coming from, people who are aware that up until today, up until this point, this thing started, I had really looked highly on the title and not the solution I provide.
Yes. That's so well. True. You should say that again.
True.
Because people are going to miss it. People think that jobs is the title, not the solution. You think that the skill you have is unique to you. It's not.
Yeah.
Stop looking at the title. Look at what solution can you offer. And this is where critical thinking is important.
Yeah.
If you are afraid because you're not prepared. Think about it.
True.
You're only afraid. You're either afraid or prepared. You can't be both. You can't be afraid and prepared. That means that you're not prepared. But if you're prepared, then you're not afraid. You know what is happening. And how do you prepare? You pay attention. If you have a smartphone and it doesn't have 2 chatbots on it, you should be afraid because you're not prepared. If you have 2 chatbots on it and every day you ask the question, how do I stay prepared for AI? And it gives you answers and you pay attention to it. You're prepared. You're not scared. That's what's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Those who are paying attention. Before this podcast goes up, I'm going to put a video up and somebody go and look back and see it. I have a video where I've combined Mark Cuban, who we all know as the billionaire, whatever, the CEO of Accenture, lovely lady whose name I forget, who was on Bloomberg News, and a guy called Bryant Hope, Jacob Bryant Hope. One is a white male, the other is a white female, the other is a black male. All of them are in different markets in the US, and all of them are saying the same thing. Mark Cuban says, if I was 16 to 20, I'd spend every waking hour learning and watching AI.
Honestly, yeah, for real.
I would not waste my time on the Netflixes, on the Hulus, whatever. I would be the best at this because you can see the threat.
Yeah, exactly.
I've told you, today's Tuesday. On Saturday, I'm coming with my whole gang to your hood. What do? We're coming to rob you. You sit in the house.
No.
You make chapos.
No.
You start calling in your gang. You start fortifying your building. That's what people need to do now. The lady was saying in that Bloomberg show that in 2000, and I think it was 22, they made $300 million. Because of AI, 2025 has 2 years. Yeah. They have made $2.5 billion from the same thing. From the same thing, because of AI. Yeah. That's what Accenture has done. Why is your company or your dad's company not doing the same thing? What's the challenge? Why is your mom's company not implementing it? And finally, this Mr. Bryant Hope says, there's a time you went into a store and there was a till with a human. Or you went to a bank with Stanbic, among others. You went to the bank and there were 9 people waiting for us in line.
Yeah.
Now,
there's
put my money in an envelope. I go to that tell machine, put my money in, press the button.
Take my money.
I agree, I accept, it's banked, I get my receipt, I pull out my app, it's done. That means 8 people on that till don't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
And then, let me put it this way. If you want to cook a crab or a frog, you don't put it in a hot sufuria full of fire. You put it in a warm bath and then you turn up the heat.
Pole pole.
That thing will boil.
To cook itself.
It will cook itself because it doesn't see it coming. We are constantly telling y'all AI is on its way. And every single week, something crazy. Have you seen VO3 by Google? It's Hollywood. So now, some guy in Kawangware with like a nice MacBook Pro and like a decent size iMac will create a full-on Hollywood movie with black people, not Wathogus. And that guy's going to spend kidogo money on Instagram, some money to advertise it, maybe $2,000, which is like 250 Gs. Do you know what that has done for our movie industry? We will not be watching rubbish that we used to watch before. That was a leftover from whether it's Hollywood or Nollywood or Bollywood or Kenyawood, whatever. We'll be watching, we will be watching pure, like, Wakanda level Black Panther movies. Done over here by a guy who's distributing it on
social media
for less than $500,000.
I even saw there's an AI where your child can be like a hero in like their own children's story.
That's correct.
Like instead of telling your child a bedtime story, you ask your child, if you were to write a story, what do you want it to be? And you put your child there as like the main character, and that becomes a story.
Insha and comprehension. I told my daughter for fun, hey, VO, it's $250. It's expensive, but it's going to reduce in price. I told her, check this out. Do you want us, because she uses ChatGPT every day, do you want us to do a prompt for how, she's the 12-year-old, the younger one, of how you would write your insha, but then put it out. Now I put 8-second clips and then put it out so we see what VO can create. She's like, I want to try. So we did it. We put a nice prompt, nice and thick, maybe 3 paragraphs to put it in there. I try not to put my kids' photographs on socials just yet. And we put it up and we used an example of some random girl who's black. Put it there. And it created a nice 8-second clip.
That is so dope.
My daughter, person, doing the thing. She said,
that she talked about in her
like, that's so cool. Because she watches manga, which are not people. A lot of the TV she watches is white folks, because that's what Netflix, Hulu, Amazon offer. And she was able to see an African situation with a girl in a kingdom playing with her dolls and her friends, And what's happening is technology is personalizing it to the point where my child is going to learn how to write comprehension or insha in their own way, in their own setting, in their own house. And education is going to be one of the biggest industries hit by AI.
That's true. And speaking of education, the people who are supposed to be teaching the children don't even know half of these things that we're talking about. Like they're being bested.
Half. You think they know half?
All of them. They know nothing to do with these things that we're talking about. They're actually going to be bested by like their own students.
Which is why
like the one who went to class with VR glasses and did their assignment. How is a teacher supposed to fight that? So you told me to do my homework. So I came to school with the iPhone, VR, whatever, did the assignment, and I'm free to leave class. I've done my job. So how do the educators keep up? Because they need to be the ones who are leading the way, or like the ones who are guiding these people, and they are being bested by 12-year-olds.
They just need to be open and say, "Come, we're all here."
Okay.
When by the time you're seeing, I travel. I travel a lot. I'm being invited to 6, 7 countries to go and support them and their education systems.
Right.
And here in Kenya, I'm down the road, man.
But let me ask.
Tell me, come, let's have a chat. I'll do it for free, for nothing. Just to show you guys what's in front of you.
That it can be done.
That's it.
Because when I'm listening to you talking about, we started from how this computer got intelligent to now how, scam. In fact, I think I heard Sam Altman talking about it's going to help 50% of jobs for people, making them. For me, when I hear that, I think of AI as a, how like you'd watch. Is it that movie for the one with the robot, one guy and a robot?
iRobot.
Oh, this man post-apocalyptic.
Yes, I remember that one.
That's what I think about AI. For me, when I think about AI, I'm thinking I'm about to be a superhero in the things that it's like having turbocharge.
It's exactly that. That's it.
But then people's fear is shit. The rest of the world, right? Because me, I always think as an individual.
Because it's all you.
But everybody's fear is that, okay, this thing is going to come. Okay, it's going to be smart. Okay, we need to do this. We need to educate people like this. I'm looking at the pace at which AI is growing. And, the other day I spoke about how one of the most exciting things for me is the death of the apps.
You're seeing it coming.
Yeah.
Even the death of the form factor. The phone.
Even just this device.
That form factor.
Right?
That phone.
Is because we're already testing chips and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm looking at education and I'm seeing, because if my kid doesn't even have to interact with another human being to learn, you'd say we don't need teachers, right? But we do.
We do. We need the community aspect of
in the medicine space. You're already seeing. If you the way you have that friend who drinks, but then they tell you they're a surgeon. You're just like, thank God for AI.
I'm not letting you cut me.
You can supervise. Right? 100%. You can instruct the AI because AI's precision is crazy. Yeah. Like the precision is, it's not going to be like, it's not going to do that. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, I think the key thing here is, because everybody's like, okay, then what role will I play? Right? That's a good question. And for me, I'm like, I see there will be extreme need for humanity, right? And humanity, not in that in its real essence. If you've grown up in a world that has taught you, and that's why a lot of people are not able to understand Gen Z, right? You'll find a millennial and a boomer saying, "Unajua Gen Z manzi ameniambia ati emotional support, I can't be at work." But for me, I look at them as, this is someone with boundaries. That's true, right? This is someone who understands that I cannot be able to serve anything if I'm not well, right? Yeah. But a millennial and generations before, it wasn't about a millennial will tell you, I had a honey, but I made it work. Or
and be very proud of themselves.
Will chomoka a club.
Straight to the job.
Straight to church.
We're multifaceted like that. Church. Yeah. Actually, it's you guys.
Ameoga na ako kwa church. You say you're waking up at midday. You should not talk about church. And for me, that's that thinking of, we do things because we have to do them.
Have to do them. Yeah.
And Gen Z are like, I don't have to. Right? And the world where we're going to, the humanity will be, you have to be very intentional about what it is that you are.
That's right.
If you think ati umejua kufanya AI, hebu tupeleka mtoto wako pia ajue AI, and then now they copy. If that's not what that kid wants to do,
they won't do it.
They won't do it because the computer can do it. So what are you serving? Right? That's what I see for the future. So that's me, who's not a tech.
No, you're very right. In fact, not only that, this is why AI came at a very right time, because we've gone to a place where people are more astute to what they want and therefore what they don't want. And what they don't want is to work the way millennials, Gen X and boomers worked. They want a different way of living.
Unsustainable.
They don't respect billionaires and multimillionaires and
just
the Elon Musks of the world because they don't feel like that matters. They don't need a big ass house somewhere in Runda or Muthaiga or Karen. That's a millennial and Gen X problem. These guys are like, if I just have a crib somewhere in some shag spot and I can watch my TV and play with my dog, I'm fine.
Just want to thrive, man.
I just want to be alive. I don't need to rip from other people to find happiness. And what you're finding is the schematics of what success looks like for Gen Z is so different. And therefore, the effort that millennials and Gen Xers put in and baby boomers put in, Gen Zs will not value. Because what millennials do, it doesn't matter how hard you work, we'll never get them to where the boomers were. Because boomers, by the time my dad was 40, he had a house in Runda.
And I bought it for like 10 bob.
I'm 45 and
owning properties
you look at it, if I could have built the house, but the nefariousness that I'd had to live my life and the way money would have had to be siphoned in certain ways, just didn't give me comfort. How much more my kids who are, forget even Gen X, Gen Z, they're alphas. Then they're like, Daddy, we don't need all of that stuff. Why do we need a house so big? Like, because why I have to scream to get you. So we just live in like a small place, that's fine. That's their mindset. They don't value opulence and respect it. In fact, if anything, they do not see it as something to be aspired to. So they are the right generation for AI to infiltrate. Because they want to do less but get more. So somebody has to do the work.
Which should be the goal.
That's the AI assistant.
Actually, I have the perfect description of what's been happening before Gen Z, right? And Gen Alpha. Boomers, millennials, kuendelea. We've prided ourselves in the amount of effort and not necessarily the output. Right? You can find somebody seated in the same employment for 35 years. He kampuni, they hate everything about it. Like I had a let me call her
your
auntie,
family is being
right?
Chomolewadi.
No, this podcast, right? I had an auntie who worked for a brewery. I won't say which one.
A brewery.
Right?
There's only like one.
This babe
There were
is
others that came
a
up.
deep
Okay.
SDA. Deep. Stop deep.
Na nyinyi
She can't
mnakunyonga
even go to
soda
Jobo
peke
on,
yake.
like Friday 6 p.m.
Done.
Sabbath has started, right? But she worked in this company for 35 years.
Jesus
Monday
Lord.
to Friday 6 p.m.
Basically, here's the thing.
Specifically.
Her values. Every day she went to work for 35 years. She was going against her values.
Yeah.
Every day.
She's putting
Every
it aside.
Saturday she'd talk about
Hating her job.
No,
hating
Hating
her
her
job.
job.
right. I
Yeah.
see. With the Lord.
Right?
For
With the Lord.
35
That's what I'm telling
years,
you.
my guy.
Yeah.
It's that badge of honor for the effort is more important than the output. And here's a world, and there's so many reasons that could have led to that. For example, I understand Gen X and Boomers, but I don't understand millennials because
That's your people.
Gen X and Boomers are on a computer.
Hey,
On a computer.
No.
I was in my 20s before Facebook popped.
Yeah, as we have social media, you grew
Hey,
with
look
social
at this. She's
media.
laughing
No,
at
I'm
me.
not laughing
No,
at
judgment. You see.
laughing
It's
at you.
judgment.
Yeah, but you grew up without
With you.
computers, without social media, but then
But you know.
you didn't think of them as until I think maybe 10 years ago is that the shift started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People never looked at social media, especially millennials, as wow, this could be the
10 years.
this
10
could
years
make
ago, that's
this
too
could
long.
make me stop
Wacky. No,
putting
that's
as
3.
much effort.
That's 3
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago,
yeah,
4 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Juicy.
Yeah.
Juicy, I joined socials October 2023.
What?
That's when I started doing it. Like I was always on Instagram,
What are you
TikTok,
talking
Mimi.
about?
No, let me tell you the truth. Like Sebastian
Preach.
Wafula is my best homie and my business partner. Seb is the one who told me,
Yeah.
yo, get on socials.
Get on socials.
October
Yeah.
2023
Yo.
is when my Instagram had 100
What is he talking about?
Stop
telling you, sir.
joking.
My
TikTok.
social-
I opened
Facebook.
5 TikToks because I wasn't sure which one I had opened with my phone number. My email, 2 email, 3 email, 4, 2, all of them.
I'm glad you said Gen X.
Yo.
Gen X, right? I was gonna become Tony 123. That was my username.
Not even like your name.
Not my full name.
Oh
No,
my
no, no.
God.
1970.
1970.
They were on a code 79. I was gonna be that guy. Then he said, post a video. I was
Oh
like,
God.
how do I
Saying
shoot
what?
it? Like that's where I was at. I'm a techie. How do I shoot the video? It's like you take the phone, you point the camera
Point
at your
and
face,
shoot.
and you speak. I was like,
Stop,
But it's
stop.
because
That's it, yeah.
you didn't grow up with these things.
Yeah.
all.
Right? And then here, like now you see like what you're doing with your kids with VO3,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've tried it as well.
Yo.
And I was telling guys here that we are going to be those parents, right? Because we already know parents who are using AI, like they're creating stories
Yeah.
with AI.
With
They're
AI.
saying that the world has a TCG, they're coming for kids who are not.
Yeah, who are not cleaning their rooms. There's someone who like
You saw that lady, the blue lady. I watched that. I think I reposted that
Right?
thing.
They
But
clean
I
it
said,
and clean their room immediately.
Start.
But I said, here's the challenge with
That
that,
was amazing,
right?
yeah.
Here's the challenge with that. She forgets that these kids are going to grow with this technology.
Yeah, true.
And you'll be that mom who's like, "Ati, come and open for Junior. Come, what is this thing called?
So-
Come
Why
buy
is my AI not working? Why is my AI not working?
My
Sam-
eye is not working.
Sam Altman was asked, what do you think will be the most shocking thing for people with AI? He said, it's not the computer.
Yeah.
It's the day when you walk into a supermarket. Now, when you walk into a supermarket,
There's no,
it's 100% human.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the day you walk in
And there's no people.
and there's 30% human.
But they've already
No,
started.
wait.
Uh.
And 70% robots.
That's true.
You see? That's when it hits you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's already begun. Like
But
self-checkout and all of those things.
These things already
Yeah.
happen, even here in Kenya.
Yeah.
There's
A robot.
supermarkets that are already, you're doing self-checkout.
Yeah,
You're
self-checkout,
talking about
yeah.
self-checkout. I'm talking about, you know how you send a Boda to buy you food?
Yeah.
You send your robot to buy you food.
That's
Like I think
Awesome.
Chomoka
Yeah.
and walks to
Yeah.
the shop.
And at
Or
least you don't have an
Panda's a
attitude.
Boda with a robot riding it. Or
Yeah.
a Boda that
I
goes
remember
to the
that buy
shop,
showed
buys
you
it.
guys.
If I buy a robot and I have to call for it a Boda, the person who created this robot needs to stop.
do a better.
These are those people who
fly
are-
to the supermarket.
But guys,
Five
you have
years.
rockets.
Have
5
wheels.
years from
Yo.
now. 5 years from
wheels,
now.
my
Do you
guy.
remember the time we used to have Sagim? You remember Sagim?
No.
What
Don't
the
like them.
hell is sagging?
Don't point at me.
You're like,
Sagem
You
phone, the phone.
remember you got too young.
Sagim.
is that
was a phone.
those really big ones?
No,
it's
there was a
small,
brand called Sagem.
bright red. And
I
then
don't
after
remember
that,
Sagem.
there was another one called Alcatel.
There was
Okay, I remember
Siemens as
Alcatel.
well.
Siemens.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then the Nokia
okay.
3310s are you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a time when the Nokia 5510, which was basically like a Nokia, like a flip phone type situation, was 250,000.
Yeah.
Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
Kenya shillings. I am in the same generation that took overnight to download Justin Timberlake's Love Stone on
That
YouTube.
was a good album.
It's a good album.
That was a good album.
Love Sex Magic. Love Sex Magic was Took me the whole night. Then I connected those two noises. That I'm the same generation that now has Spotify, and I don't own any of my songs.
Imagine.
I had an iPod. I've had a bunch of iPods.
See, that's
and now I have Spotify.
So when I tell you that today we're talking about robots and you're thinking it's far away, you will still be an adult, not a senior citizen.
Yeah.
You'll be an adult. And
next
your
year,
5-year-old, you'll not be carried by Michael or that's house help. It'll be a robot carrying your kid to church. Like this.
No, that's what I'm
And there'll be many.
Nina Nani is the one. Because I know.
When you're seeing them building think about it, $500 billion worth of data centers.
Yeah.
You think they're building it for us to do ChatGPT?
Nah.
Focus. Calm down. They're doing it so that when we have hundreds of thousands of robots walking around the street, they don't walk into each other. That's why you're creating a super brain to take care of all the mini brains that'll be on these robots that over here in CBD.
And to make sure they don't clash.
Carrying packages for you because you bought another massager for your leg because you've been sitting for 3 months watching in Netflix. This is the future we're walking into.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware, your biggest problem is your lack of awareness. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's why when a kid asks me, Tony, what do I do about AI?
Yeah.
How do I prepare myself? My first answer is always stay aware.
Yeah.
Download.
Learn as much of it as you can.
Chatbots.
Yeah.
See what is happening. Ask questions. Ask, what does the future look like to you in the next 5 years? I have read a story on CNN. Go look at this link. What do you think about it? Just be aware.
Yeah.
You can't stay updated. Even people in the sector are not updated.
Yeah.
I can't
We
keep
know
up.
that.
I've done videos that I've never finished because before I put out the video, a new thing has come. That video is now no longer necessary.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
So of course, we've literally touched on all the things, but there are two things now which get me thinking. Now it's like, okay, cool. So here we are. We already know that. If by this point in the podcast you haven't now said,
if you haven't, I don't know what.
Honestly,
I
don't know what you want.
You know, when you started the conversation, there's 5 tiers of
human senses.
AI. There's the 5 tiers of AI, right? So we see the user, and then there's the backend, right? Will there be a time, because we're talking about this existence with coexisting with this other intelligence,
right?
And in every facet of life, right? As you were talking, I'm thinking, okay, because my mind usually goes into places, and I'm like, the fear that people have of AI is, I think it's called there's a name for it. When it gets more intelligent than us, what's that place? Yeah, that's the space where we get, right?
I mean, the one where it could annihilate us?
Yeah. No,
super intelligence.
Where
that point changes. Where it gets more intelligent than us. Yes. And so, because we've seen AIs that are already, because if you with the title intelligence, it means all responsibilities on you to think, right? Yeah. And so whatever is coming out of your mouth is the gospel truth, right? Because as the consumers, right? Most people are consumers.
Keyword.
So
consumers.
We've seen cases of people, unaliving themselves because they were directed there to
AI said that you are not necessarily
in my head. I'm thinking in the future, we're here with all these computers and blah blah blah. Imagine a glitch where the computers. There's just a glitch because human is to error, and if we created AI, it can error in human ways. Exactly. It can capacity. So let's imagine a glitch where this computer virus imengia go no type 10, right?
Not go no, stop.
Go no ya AI. Because in your mind, I told you my mind went somewhere.
It went, guys. That's how you have to go.
You don't think that at some point these robots will start falling in love with each other? Because remember, they are replicating
what we're doing.
Right? And they will become more intelligent than us. Now, and I imagine a world where like robots are dishing each other, right?
Box, I don't understand.
Only in this podcast.
I swear
This is the only one.
I don't understand how
you start to judge them.
God, okay. Continue telling us about
ChatGPT. Broken. Can't come. To Zangushwa by Rose 3000.
I sound crazy, right? I sound crazy. I'm the one who sound crazy up in this bitch.
Yo.
You know, like Rose.
When I do this again, I'm gonna. My guy.
What is this podcast? Pure madness.
We gotta be futuristic. We gotta help people think. Because, let me bring us back down to earth.
Okay,
right?
please. Yeah, okay, continue with your conspiracy
2017.
theory.
Kenya was in election mode. AI was used against us.
Yes.
Right?
And we didn't
But these
know.
were humans who were using the intelligence.
Yes.
Now, let's imagine the place where, because this is just the inevitable, we are going to a world where this will be the reality. Sawa. Earth will be inhabited by humans, and AI. Right? And significantly, the way he came from a place where computers weren't a thing, and now look at this room.
Yeah.
Look at this room.
It's just equipment.
It's just cameras everywhere.
Full stop.
Right?
Yeah.
So AI will be like that. It will be visible.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
A glitch happens. Breaking news. Like the internet. Imagine if the internet goes down.
Yeah.
Right?
People would die physically.
Literally.
Yeah.
AI is based off of.
Same thing. Same infrastructure.
So let's imagine a glitch, right?
Yeah.
With all this machinery, right? Which has its own intelligence that supersedes the person it's serving, right? These are real fears.
That's a real fear.
Right?
Yeah.
So we saw how elections were happened.
Right.
It's reading our patterns. What if it decides to tell us who to
vote for?
Right? What if it decides, it's looking at all the challenges that we're presenting because it's one central intelligence, right? It's not at this kila mtu akona akili yake.
That's true.
It is one central intelligence.
Yeah.
This collective, the world has constantly been asking, how do we end our wars? How do we, but the reason why we are not able to end our wars is because we all have selfish, vested reasons.
Interest.
But AI is the only non-selfish interest in the mix because it is an intelligent, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, 2500.
Yes. That's going to be a real thing.
A glitch has happened, right? And the computer has decided now to tell us who should be leaders. And we are at a place where from it's in our DNA, right? So we have probably a chip. Yeah. You cannot be able to function
without it.
That's open doors, use electricity, access to water, which will be a real thing. There will be no water for playing around. I don't even think swimming pools will be a thing in 2500.
Is it?
I don't think so.
Huh.
Water is not a resource.
I'm
that
waiting
AI
for the movie, right? I want to see this movie. Because if you think about, I know you're saying something, Andrew, let you finish. But if you think about all the dystopian AI versus human movies we've ever made, out of Hollywood at least, has it ever not ended up badly?
Yeah.
The Matrix.
But you see, the core thing is that AI gets tired of human, in the whole story, human nonsense. You asked me to do some work.
I'm doing your job, my guy.
I see every time you keep making the goddamn mistake. I'm like, let me fix it. So it never happens.
So then you go home and you sit down and you do nothing.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it for you.
And that's what I was telling you. Like AI, you give it a prompt. So if you tell it eliminate threat, you as a human being are the threat.
Yeah,
so
I
will eliminate you.
And I have seen that you are the problem.
Yeah, you are the problem.
If we deal with you, everything will be fine.
Yeah. So I'm looking at. So that would be my first question. Which will be your last question?
Right.
But AI for Africa.
Good.
In terms of leadership and impact, right? Because the other day you came from Kigali recently.
Africa, the global AI Africa Summit.
I think there was another one, I think Senegal or Cameroon.
Yes, there's another one that was
South Africa, there have been some very important conversations. Even here in Africa, in Kenya. Just last week there was also some amazing sessions. But from an infrastructure perspective, and I was sitting at Africa House with this guy for PLP. What's his name?
Guy for PLP or girl for PLP?
The guy. The I forget his name. The Ghanaian guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
I forget his name.
Yes.
And we were talking the AI. And one of the key conversations is all this AI is being made outside of Africa, right? So we are talking about all these things. It just sounds like the scramble for Africa. In fact, it sounds like the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
It sounds like the space race.
Right.
It sounds like we are just are we going to be consumers of this thing?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned a very important thing.
That's the fight.
You said if we stay consumers, I don't know anybody who we are AI learning other people's AI.
Yeah. That's it. I think that, so 2 parts to that. The first one is, the fight is so early that it's to your 5 levels of AI. It's very infrastructural. Machine learning is at the base, transformers on top of that, databases on top of that, generative AI on top of that, agentic AI on top of that. So it's very foundational. So no one, yes, OpenAI is there, Anthropic, Google, Meta, they've done a decent job of building the basic. But on top of it, it's the data sets that win. And at this point, whoever has the best data sets wins the largest. So there's a fairness. And let me explain when I say data sets. Africa has 2,000 languages. Then a majority of Africans, about 64% of us, still speak our native tongue. And if you want AI to go all the way to Gishagi, you need to get all those languages and put them on a large language model. And so you can't, and because you don't have a lot of content online, typically, because that's where the scraping happens for these large language models, you have to be intentional about going finding Yoruba, Kisi, or the language in Eswatini. There has to be an active engagement. Africa's first trillionaires will be made there. Whoever has the largest data sets wins.
Nice.
1. 2, the infrastructure.
And you have some...
Shh, quiet.
He does have some
infrastructure.
Great data sets.
Infrastructure. The next thing is, to your point, we will need very large and very localized on-prem or on-premises hardware and data set factory and data server or data factories,
Centers,
data center factories that are running on GPUs, not CPUs. We have 2 advantages the world doesn't have. Number 1, we have a lot of space, literally.
Literally.
Can you imagine? In Kenya, where we live along, a majority of us, 60-something% of us live under central, not above central. Right? There's a lot of space in Kenya. Second advantage, we have the largest amount of renewable energy on the planet, generally African countries, and especially the ones around the equator. So like Kenya has 5. We've got geo, hydro, wind, solar. We're doing really well. And we can be able to harness that for those data centers because Kenya right now has about 4 megawatts of electricity, somewhere between 4 and 10. I remember there was a Malaysian guy who came, CEO of the Malaysian power thing, and said, Malaysia and Kenya got independence at the same time. Malaysia has 70 megawatts.
That guy spoke too much truth, man.
He spoke well. But to his point, the opportunity for us to be able to interact with power and generate data centers large enough to support not just a country, but a region is very high. The next trillionaires will be on power. And then the third one is the last one, which is where the next trillionaires will be. And that's deployment. Practical example. Education right now is being done by teachers. One teacher in Kenya has an average of 124 students in a classroom. Because there are 650-something thousand teachers, 15 million kids. You can't give every child something. Just if you were to give them a spoon, that's worth a bulb. You're pulling out 50 million bulbs. But 600,000 shillings for teachers, possible. So what can you give teachers that gives them that superpower you're talking about, that makes them superhuman teachers, which means it sees what they see, it hears what they hear, it shows them how to do their job without taking them out of the flow of teaching a classroom. We believe that is done by wearables. And that's why Kitabu is running into doing what Meta is doing with the Ray-Bans, but we're doing it with Google XR, and we are intent on giving teachers affordable glasses that become personal assistants. They speak to them, they talk to them on their phones, but the teacher can teach the whole time in class with a pair of glasses which has cameras, a microphone, and a headset. And when the teacher doesn't want any attention from this, it just watches and listens. But when the teacher double taps, it asks the teacher, how can I help? The teacher gives it an instruction and says, help me explain to these children how to do ABC, because they don't seem to understand. It talks directly to the teacher and tells them, this is how you can be able to create this example for kids to understand. That solution is scalable and can be done everywhere. Those solutions, $1 trillion businesses. What I'm saying is there's nothing right now that has been done that is so advanced that we need to be concerned about because these things are foundational things. What we need to be thinking about is, yes, the consumer infrastructure has been set up. How do we empower ourselves to now become users of the technology? How does an insurance company create a mobile application that understands you and creates insurance tailored to you instead of creating one flat blanket thing? Middle class. Right?
I hate that pink shit.
It makes no sense. You should have your own.
Like personalized.
You should have your own tampon. Your own. Not a tampon for all women. You have a certain pH. Men should have their own tablet. When I have my erectile dysfunction, give me my tablet that works for my DNA.
With my DNA.
For me, that stuff has gotten to a point where it can be done in the next 5 I would even dare say 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? So whoever is sitting on top of that data, because it's not the tablet.
That's the key word.
It's the data.
It's the data.
Who knows you enough to be able to go to Pfizer, GSK, whatever, and be like, I have enough data sets of the women in Kenya to be able to say, if you plug you plug your thing into our data, we'll spit out the drugs and deliver them. It's not the GSK that's going to be holding your data.
Yeah.
It's that person, that middleman, that is going to hold it.
Yeah.
And because social media is dying away, there's an opportunity for different tools to be created where you can be able to be the person that understands. For example, let me give you an example of a very interesting. If you take Flow, the female or women, the Flow up,
for the menstrual cycle,
you can get more than just menstrual cycle from that.
Yeah.
Because it knows generally medically there's a way in which a woman's hormonal mapping can be done over a 28 to 30 day period. I know when you're happiest, when you're saddest, when you're more. I can do more than just tell you when to expect your menses. I could do, today's a good day for ice cream. Today's a good day for you to travel the world. Today's a good day for you to do investment decisions. Yesterday you're irrational.
Because it already has your data sets.
Nice.
Those are the kind of data sets that you can then sell to a third party or you can lease to a third party and you keep the data. They'll never access it. And they use you as a conduit for them to spit out an insurance plan.
So the person with the largest data sets being Google.
Is it?
Think about it.
Yes.
Oh.
And that's why they keep selling our data sets to third-party apps.
I've talked about opportunities for infrastructure, heavy infrastructure. So we're talking power, we're talking data. Yes. Here's what I tell you too. You have a platform with people. Take that platform with people and do more than just give them something.
Right.
Ask them to participate in something, whether it is doing a course with them, whether it's do something that brings their data into a database you have, and then provide them with tools, services, personalized engagements, whatever. That's what Mr. Beast has done. That's what Kai Cenat has done. That's how a lot of these big folks, Lean Ngugi is doing. That's what folks are doing. They're understanding that the first door is content. I've found people who had hundreds of thousands of followers and I've left them at the hundreds of thousands of followers and now I'm doing contracts in other countries because of the 12,000, 15,000, 20,000, 100,000 people I have on my platform. True. Because I did more than just provide content. I became an asset. I learned how to monetize my value. You don't need 1 million, 100,000 followers and you don't need that to leverage on what you know. Now I do content. Somebody calls me and is like, okay, so we have a thing. Do you want to come to the office and talk to my partners? I show up. There are 12 people. We talk about it. I understand their concept. I pull out a map. They're like, do you mind if you run it for us as a consultant? I'm like, hey, this is going to be quite a lot of money because I don't have that much time. They're like, that's not a problem. And then the next thing you know, your kid's in a very expensive school. Because you've leveraged on what you have. Whereas there's somebody with 10 times the followers you have
who's still
doing advertisements, part and parcel. I'm still doing ads, but that's their mainstay. Leverage on what you learn to, and I say this, learn to close the funnel. People have the beginning of a sales funnel. They don't have the end. The beginning of the sales funnel is where you get everyone's attention. The end is when you get a billionaire to have you on rotation. Stop being fascinated by numbers. It's vanity metrics. Get 1, 2, or 3 people to run you full time. Your life changes very drastically. AI will enable you to do that. So start now.
Do you know the most powerful thing you've said here today?
What have I said?
Is leverage what you have. Leverage what you have. I feel like people always, and that also speaks of what I was saying on the world. People have been seated very comfortable, knowing very well that there's nothing you offer this employer aside from a body count, right? You're punching in, doing something that you know damn well it doesn't even engage you. And the reason why you are in that space is to shine. But then there are people like you who will create opportunities from not the system, because you were told, I mean, you left school, you were told you're going to get a job. But you ain't never going to go. Have you actually ever gone to get employed?
Me? I lost a bet with Wairo Droga and I went and worked at Nation Drive Radio for 1 year. That's it.
That was your only employed job.
Done.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, and there are a lot of people who do not know
How to live outside of it.
You know, that confidence that you have, and I'm glad you spoke about that. And then also reminding people that you already have what it takes.
You already have, say that slowly. You already have what it takes. You already have what it takes. But the
confidence to be able to look at me and say, little old me, I can go in there. And that's why I tell you that you're a very powerful person. As much as you don't know it, right? Even with all the handicaps that you have mentioned, right? You still manage to be confident in you and your ideas, right? So there's a lot of work there that you've done, right? Yeah. And so there's so many people that I know who have all these amazing ideas, you know, solutions. Because like when I look at Africa, I look at, from my experience, the other day someone told me, have you studied in America? I'm like, nah.
You're doing English in Kisii.
Honestly, right? But it's if I'd have gone with what life had decided for me, guys, I wouldn't even be seated here.
No.
Right? The unconventional, and just also a confidence in myself that I can be able to do things. Right? If you look at a continent like Africa, right, you'll find a place which is green, right? It's what we used to be told when you're doing business, raw materials.
We call it in business the blue ocean.
The world is busy talking about Africa, the next frontier, the youngest continent. But there's a guy there who's just like, Igava. Serikali's idea, right? Yeah. Because they've not given themselves an opportunity to see that your solution ya hapo ni wewe. Nairobi, you'll have people living here, it floods. They start Governor Sakanya, right? The whole flat. And I get it. And they will complain for a whole month that the estate is flooded. And nobody will say, hey guys, situshikane na spades na nini to
fix this thing
while we castigate Sakanya. Right? So people, it's a confidence in yourself to say, hey, we can do this, and then we can make noise at the person who needs to get done.
Actually, I think that's the thing.
And where's Africa?
So right.
Where's Africa? Right. Because AI is the equalizer.
Let me.
You've literally just spelled out everything that AI can do to change the narrative of Africa. Yeah. But I feel like Africans are not necessarily aware that this is happening.
I don't even need all of us to do it. I just need a few.
Just a few.
Just a few.
Yeah.
The loudest way to scream at someone is with dollars. It's with capital. Is when you pull out 911 GTRs and you show them, I did this in a year or two. While I was telling you I was doing it, you weren't paying attention. Yeah. Let's be loud. Yeah. And I feel like the same way social media created the celebrity phenomenon, the social influencers phenomenon, is the same way AI needs to create the AI success story phenomenon. And I'm not even trying to convert 1,000 people. Not even 100. 10. I want 10 folks. One person in fashion, one in healthcare, one person in insurance. I went and did an insurance talk in one insurance building. I won't tell you, but it's one of these ones. Either Deloitte or PricewaterhouseCoopers or KPMG or EY. Went to one of those.
So the big ones.
The big ones. And because they understand that it's a challenge. And I talked about it. And in one of those offices, people are not even allowed to use AI. They're not allowed.
Stop. Why?
That's on them.
That is so...
But one of these persons came and gave me a card, and on the back of the card said, I'd like to show you something. Please call after work. So I was very inquisitive.
Yeah, I'd be so curious. Yeah.
I was like, what's up? Can we get on a Zoom call? Yeah. Got on a Zoom call. He's the owner of the Zoom call. So I can't screenshot or record.
Right.
And this guy showed me his workflow. When I get in the morning, I do this. At 10 minutes in, I'm like, why are you teaching me what you do? Yeah. Teach this. Okay, I want to show you something. Then he opens this website called lovable.dev, which everyone can access. Using natural language, you tell it, I would like a platform that does this. And it starts building it. And then you say, no, move this to the left, move this to the right. He combined that with ChatGPT, where he went and said, these are the things I do every day. I would like to build a web portal to automate my process of work. ChatGPT gave him all the prompts for Lovable. He told ChatGPT, I'm doing it on Lovable. It said, divide your prompts into these. Here's prompt number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. He did it. He showed me how he automated the whole process with something called NA10. agentic automation of his entire workflow. I'm like, what do you do when you get to work? He said, all I have to do is log in.
What?
Full stop. And I was like, you understand that everyone in your whole company
can use
in
this.
Kenya and the world
can lose their jobs
because of you.
I'm seeing it how everyone can use it to make.
But why would I, as the employer, pay you?
I'm not saying the employer, himself. That's so genius.
Because he's just created what will make everybody in their company obsolete.
Lose their jobs.
The magic of it is if he wanted to,
he could.
He can package it
and start his own
and sell it.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying. I don't know how to explain this to people.
Yeah.
When you see the gentleman who built the iPhone called Jimmy Ive gets $6.5 billion from OpenAI.
That's crazy.
Let's help people get that. $6.5 billion
USD
dollars.
God damn
if you just do math, it's 128 shillings. Let's just do 100 shillings.
Yeah.
That's 6 trillion, Bob.
Oh my God.
You'll be given 6 trillion shillings. 6.5 times.
I can't even, those zeros are not even making sense in my head. They're not making sense in my head.
650.
I don't think I can see that many zeros.
But it's 128, so it's 600 billion. He's been given 600 billion, but it's 28. So it's about 1 trillion shillings. You've been given 1 trillion shillings. What do you know that I'm giving you 1 trillion shillings for? And that stuff is in our realm. It's here. We are in the same generation. We are the same. He doesn't have anything from Mars or from the future.
Just here.
There's something he's building that is going to impact people. Wouldn't you prepare yourself for it? Yeah. The same way when iPhones came out, the first thing they did was build an app store so people can start building things for the app store. And there's a gentleman who was on food stamps who went and tried to get a job at Facebook 5 times and was turned down and decided, fine, I'm going to build it myself. And then built a company that Facebook bought for $19 billion, also known as WhatsApp.
My chest.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And that's what we need, people thinking in that direction.
Yeah.
So as we...
Hey, I just need to calm down for a moment because this is in front of us. Like, this is, if ever there was a time to be alive, it is now.
Yeah.
I've been
it's
saying
not 50
that.
years ago
It's
when
right
the British
now.
were coming and taking
When
our
we are
land.
the cusp
Or 100
of
years
like...
No, it's now. Now is when it's in your hand.
Yeah.
Chatbots are in your hand. All 7 of them. DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Claude. It's here and now. The only reason you're not moving forward is because you've decided you're comfortable where you are.
Yeah.
And it's privilege. And I understand that. Data, smartphone, I get all of that.
I've got a good job.
You've got a good job. I get all of that. But if you can sit behind a YouTube video and watch these podcasts that we've done, 2 of them, and spend 2 hours watching us tell you stuff, you can't spend 2 hours on your future.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah, because it's giving... Because I feel like we are at the cusp of like a whole new era. Like this is an era that's going to be studied. The way we study the industrial age or the Stone Age or like the whatever, this era of AI is going to be studied in the future. Like this is where it began. And we are literally at the beginning.
At the cusp,
so I feel like whoever who is deciding, I'm comfortable where I am, or it's going to take time before it gets to Africa, or it's going to do this, it's giving those people who refused to go from analog to digital. Because think about it, when cell phones were coming out, there was still a salesman who was still selling landlines.
100%.
It's like, no, these things are never going to go out. You will just buy a landline. And then there's someone who was like, let me buy cell phones or like cell phone parts or like whatever it is that people need to put together a mobile phone and start selling that.
Yeah.
If you put those 2 people together, that person who started looking at the features like, how can I get into cell phones instead of trying to like die on the hill of selling landlines, there's a very big difference. So you need to be the person who's looking at the future and be like, okay, I might be here right now, but what are the small steps I can take to make sure in the future I am there and not here?
That's what's
you
up.
know?
So what I'm hearing, because the question that Joyce asked was, if I'm in school right now and my parent has sold the shamba, and then I've just watched this porn, and I'm like 2 years deep.
Yes.
Now I'm just like, do I stop doing this agriculture thing?
No.
Do I stop doing this?
No.
What are guys learning now?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hiyo kitu,
Yeah.
right? Or do I back it up with technology?
Can I just say, for everyone in the room, right, outside of the podcast, like I would be I just signed a piece of the papers you bought me. Someone flew in from Libya.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Tbilisi? Tbilisi,
I have no idea.
Libya. They flew in from Libya 2 days ago. Created a 3-day window to sit with me and my partner, Sebastian. We sat yesterday at Pepper Tree, and she said, I want to understand, in the next hour and a half, I want to understand AI and how I can leverage off it. We gave her the options and ideas and the opportunities, and we gave her everything she needed. And she said, I can see the opportunity, but I don't think it makes sense for me to try without experts like you guys. And she pulled out, not a bank statement, but a document of an investment she had made that gave her back $100,000. And she said, I want to give this to you. $100,000. I just want you to think about that for a second. She's Kenyan. She's not married. Yeah. She's worked in the UN basically all her fucking life.
Yeah.
We were in USAID together, so it's not like a random stranger. Yeah. But she wasn't a friend. It's university. You know, universities, you have a home.
You know,
and now that you're on social, they claim we knew you because we did 2 classes here. I was there for 5 years. Of course, you pitted in the cafeteria. And Sebastian, my partner, was like, actually, we'll only take 10. You keep the 90. Let's show you what we can do with the 10, which is what I signed. Oh. And she sent us $10,000. I just looked at my phone and saw it. She sent us $10,000. She's going to keep the 90 in escrow. If the 10 moves by $2,000, 20% valuation, she'll give us the other 90. I don't know this person. That's how they invested.
Yeah. This conversation has been one that it's so exactly eye-opening. Joyce has asked this question over and over again. Future of jobs. We've spoken about how if people do not adjust to the wave, this is not that thing at Itapi. Isikwel.
No. There's no quelling.
You don't do it, you fail.
Honestly, adapt or die. There has never been a perfect time to show adapt or die.
But then also we've talked about how African youth need to be, at the forefront. And I know people say, African youth are da-da-da-da. But I hang around with a lot of African young people.
Right, as you would, of course.
Don't know where, because money issues are deep.
It's real.
The other day someone told me, a lot of people who have mental health, just give them money.
And
you solve their problem.
And you'll solve their problems, right? Like a man is stressed because he just doesn't know where
he's exactly. I thought you were saying like schizophrenia.
And so a lot of African people, young people, when they think about, I ask, see, we look at this area. See, to fanye kitu, we sort it out. I say, so I don't go to eat. So that I do this passion project for whom, right?
Why?
And that's why they're willing to sell the trees in their area. They're willing to cut everything, mess the environment for the short-term gain of I must eat. So that now tomorrow we can think about this AI thing.
Yes.
But the reality is, if we do not fix our own issues, and the way the world is looking at Africa, like a hawk looking at for down there, no hot dog. It's just they're looking at the opportunities that they think African youth are not prepared for. Right? And even youth from other places understand that the opportunities are here in Africa. And they're like, how do I tap into those opportunities? Right? So as you give us your parting shot, what would you tell this young person who's seated at home, who loves this podcast, has got all the information, and then they're like, so what do you think I should do? Talk to them.
Number one, and they're different young people. All of you are different, I get it. Na microphone yangu imeanza kuanguka kwa kidogo. Get ChatGPT, or get Claude, or get Mistral, or get DeepSeek, or get Google's Gemini. Any of those chatbots, get them on your phone. Once you download it, ask it this question. I'm going to assume that I am you. Actually, the girl is called Jonte.
Jonte.
Yes. All right, then. I'm Jonte. This is what you say. In fact, you press play. You open it over there. There's like a mic. Say, I am Jonte. I am 20, 21, 24, whatever age you are. This is the school I went to and what I studied. This is how much money I have between me and poverty, if at all.
No, kwe honest.
No, kwe honest. Danganya watu. This is what I enjoy doing. These are my challenges. these are the people around me, and even take pictures of yourself. This is who I am. And then ask all of them, how do I move myself from here to getting 50,000 shillings a month? Specific questions. All 5 of them will give you 5 free prompts. So you're swallowing it prompts.
Yeah.
Take the answers of all 5 of them. They're like your helpers, your mentors. Andika chini. One of those solutions will work. And if they don't all work, say, this one can't work for me because I don't know how to paint, or I don't know how to start a car wash. Ask and ask and ask until you find a solution. That's number 1. But if that's even difficult, nauna pesa credit or airtime or whatever, I'd like you to do yourself a favor. Come out of your house and go to a place where there's Wi-Fi. And under that Wi-Fi pole or Wi-Fi post, download those bots. But you may not even have that, because my dad works in Maruru. It's a slum. And the kids there, but if your dad shows us videos of you guys, we don't know where to start. Okay. I'd like you to find a cyber cafe. Find any way you can access technology and ask that question. Because what I want you to learn is no one is too far down to save, even you. And the moment you understand that you are not too far down to be saved, as in, ukijiambia wewe mwenyewe hiyo 50K inaweza pata mwisho wa mwezi, and you get people to support you or AI to support you, I swear to you, you'll be able to do it. Maybe not the first month, maybe not even the second. But by the 3rd, 4th, or 5th, that 50K is yours if you do what you are instructed. There's your answer.
I love it.
Fantastic. And one final question now that you've brought up something. So what about people like us, or let me say me? I'm not the most tech savvy person. I'm just like very curious about information. That's why I'm like, your videos are very informative. They're short, but they get to the point.
Yes.
I know where AI is headed. I've been looking into it. I've been reading. I've been whatever. I can't code for shit. I don't know anything about anything to do with that. But I would like to invest my money in AI. What would you advise someone? Because I mean, there's nothing wrong with the old ways of investing, but like the conversation we just had off camera just made me realize there's a lot of money to be made in AI, and I just want to put my money in and get it out.
My suggestion to you is very simple. The first thing you should invest in is yourself. Literally, buy yourself a very nice computer. Don't be afraid of spending money. Buy a very nice computer, and then pay for some. You may not even have to pay. Get on YouTube and just learn and understand AI. There's a lot of money to be made, but the thing about AI is, at this point, it's very heavily technical. And so the people you're speaking to are very technical, long-term founders. And you're not going to get, you can get great return, but you're not going to get return quickly, which is what you said. If you want to do long-term return, we'll talk off camera. But short-term, very different. Then here's the thing. When you educate yourself, what you'll understand is, a sector will come out of all of that conversation. You'll either want fashion or understand insurance or want to understand counseling or therapy, whatever. When you pick a spot and you deep dive into that place, whether you're leveraging off LinkedIn or Instagram, TikTok, whatever, you're going to find that there are people who are building something in that space. Get in touch with them. We're so few. We are making friends amongst each other. And you'll find yourself, even without your technical skill set, meeting a lot of developers who hate working with humans, but needs a spokesperson. And then you just buy equity into the company and say, I'll do your communication. See, you're doing podcasts. See, remember we talked about being attractive, being spoken, and communication. Just be the person who communicates. Roger Federer didn't like his contract in closing with, I believe it was Nike. And he started playing and he was looking for a place he can buy shoes. And there's a gentleman who also happens to be Swiss, who used to be a marathon runner and created this company you may now know called On. Roger went there and he said, you guys can't afford me, man. My winnings are $100 million. You just can't afford me. But I will onboard you, or you'll onboard me as a brand ambassador, and then I'll give you some money and you'll give me some equity. On is the fastest growing shoe brand on the planet to date.
Nike is pissed.
Yes, very pissed.
Nike is pissed.
And the reality of it is, everybody has value. So see yourself as a value, and then go to a company that is doing AI that aligns to what it is you care about and offer that value in the stage for equity. That's how you win.
Do you know every single thing that has been said here starts with you?
That's it.
Basically.
We are going, where the world is going, you cannot be that person who's like, I'm waiting for other people. No. You have to look at yourself and say, what do I offer this world? Right? And whatever it is, there's the helper.
Start.
OpenAI, ChatGPT, and all these other AIs that are there available for you to be able to train to help you get that thing that you want. So I'm very, very excited that we have this conversation, Tonee. Thank you so much for making the time to be here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been 2.5 hours of like
imagine.
Fabulous.
And it could continue if you didn't have other things to do.
Yeah. So we're going to leave you because I know there are so many people who want to hear your voice out there.
Yeah.
But guys, remember to hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment. Let us know what has spoken to you. And if we were to do a session, a hangout, right? Because we've got a hangout. I mean, make sure you check BoxPod.tv to check out what events are coming up. But if we were to do a hangout, if you wanted to know more about this, let us know. Hit us up in the comment section.
Yes.
I have a suggestion. As you close.
Yes. Like this guy.
There's something called Typeform. It's a place where you go and answer some questions.
Okay.
I'm going to tempt them to put a type form up. And on the type form, it's going to have 3 questions. Those 3 questions will be about AI. We'll think them through.
Yeah.
If you want to have a conversation like this, for a small gathering of 50 people, what would you like to know? I will offer my time for that engagement with you guys. So we all do it together.
Absolutely.
We go and we sit down with a bunch of young folks and actually have like a 4-hour conversation and show people how to do it. And I will come and I'll even bring some of my people so we can help those 50 to 100 young people understand how to do it.
Absolutely.
But you have to participate.
Yes.
Answer the form.
So why don't we do this? Go to the form.
Yes.
Right? Fill it up. Right? And you never know. Because of you, we might just have a session where we get real deep.
Yes.
AI deep. I think we should leave it there.
Yes, please. Can we go?